Hello, Sideliners, and welcome back to another episode of Sideline Tea. We're your hosts, Brittany, Jennifer, and Mary, here to spill the tea with a very special guest, Cameron Wolfe. Cam is the NFL correspondent for all things Miami Dolphins. When he's not cooking in the heat of the Miami sun, you can find him cooking his football takes on Good Morning Football, NFL Now, NFL Total Access, NFL The Insiders, and the list can go on and on and on. Needless to say, Cam is a very busy man, and we are so excited and grateful that he's taken the time out of his busy schedule to sit down and spill some tea with us. So grab your favorite beverage, sit back, relax, and let's spill some tea. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Tonight we have Mr. Cameron Wolfe. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great. I am great. How are you ladies doing?
Mary's tired. She's getting ready to start school. I'm tired. My daughter started school. So it's back to school, energy takes it out
There's
of
something
you.
about August. Like August is just the we got to power through a month. I'm
And it's
feeling like
it's
I'm feeling
hot.
finishing some training camps, and I'm feeling like okay, I got to get myself like energized every day, and I can imagine that's what's for you guys as well.
Oh, yeah. And Jen, she's our little auntie. She
Yeah.
Yeah.
cheers. She's cheering us on from the sidelines.
Yes, I
Um,
am. Yes, I am.
yeah. All right, so let's jump right into it. I do want to ask you some questions regarding the first preseason game. So we have a few questions. We saw a bunch of rookies that we haven't seen yet. We saw some players that are fighting for a spot on the team. I personally thought we looked good on both sides of the ball. Who are you giving the offensive game ball to?
Offensive game ball. Okay. Let's do this since we talked about rookies. Let's go Jalen Wright, their rookie
Mhm.
running back. He looked very good. It was his first NFL action, and he had a touchdown. I think he averaged about 5.5 yards a carry. He ran hard. We all know about his speed. He came out of Tennessee, a fast running back, but I think he showed a little power. He had some yards after the catch ability. And so it was cool to see him in game action. A lot of people have asked like about the running back room, particularly for fantasy football fans, of like who's going to get the ball, like what does it look like?
Yeah.
And the reality is Jalen Wright may be like third on the depth chart behind Devon and Raheem, but a lot of those backs can flow into the offense at any time. Of course, Raheem and Devon had some injury issues last year, and so you can never have too many running backs. And they drafted him with the idea of even if he's not the 1,000-yard rusher as a rookie, he's going to be a big impact on this team in 25 and 26 and into the future. And so I thought it was good for him to get his feet wet. He looked really good. And I think that Dolphins fans are going to be happy with that pick.
Yeah, I was so excited to see him. He was one of the players that I was really excited about. I feel like we kind of stole him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He was a guy who probably could have won in the second and third round, or you got him
Mhm.
in the fourth round and you traded a pick next year to get him. So it was cool. I talked to Tua this week and we were talking about Jalen Wright, and he was like, hey, yeah, we haven't seen much emotion from him. And then he had a good run and he showed a little bit of his moves after the play. And he's like, okay, he's got a little swag. And so it's tough for rookies because they're always told to be quiet and just kind of focus on your lane. And so once you get in the game and start to have some success, you can see some of their personality. And so, like, I thought it was also probably the first time I've seen him genuinely be him and not just like, I'm not trying to screw up because I'm a rookie.
Yeah, keep your head down and just do what you're told. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Um,
I was going to say, and it's just nice to have someone that is more like can run between the tackles. Like
Absolutely.
also, you know,
Yeah,
nice
different
touch.
styles. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're absolutely right, Jen. I think when you look at this Dolphins offense, everybody's talking about the speed at the edge, but a lot of those lanes in the middle are going to be open because teams have to play deep because Tyreek and Waddle
Yep.
are going to be open, and so you're going to have teams play lighter boxes. They're going to play more on the edges and the sidelines to try to stop the speed. And so if you got a back that can hit those seams, the A gap and the B gap with confidence, then he's going to find ways for big yardage.
so because you brought up the A gap, do you think we have a problem there with our interior offensive line?
Okay, so do you want the answer Dolphins fans would like to hear, or the real answer?
No, we want to know the truth.
We want the real
Real.
answer.
To me, the offensive line is the biggest question mark for this team. I think if this season collapses, it's going to be because the offensive line wasn't good enough. And I think that every week I've seen the Dolphins, I've become more and more concerned about the offensive line. I'm just going to keep it 100 with you. Like, I can't say, hey, it's got better as time's going on. No, it has not. It got better for me. I am not the head coach or the general manager, and so maybe they have different views. But I'm concerned. I'll just say I'm concerned. You got
Kim, you're not alone.
Let's just get into it. Like, their center, who had already had some issues snapping the ball, has a hand injury. They're saying week to week. I don't know for sure that he's going to be back week 1, and so that throws a wrench into your offensive line. You moved over a guy who was competing for guard and Liam Eichenberg to play center. You got Isaiah Wynn, who they penciled in as your left guard. He's having compounding issues with his leg. And so now we have no idea if he's going to be ready at any point this season. If so, when? And you've got a collection of other guys who have largely been backups from Rob Jones and Jack Driscoll, kind of competing for other guard spots. And we just hope that Teron Armstead it can stay healthy. And so I just don't, again, I've been wrong before, but I would not feel comfortable at all if I was or if I was the running back room behind this O-line. Now, Butch Berry is a really good O-line coach. He did a really good job last year, maximizing that group with a billion different combinations. He's going to have to be, a Harry Potter level magician again this year.
Dumbledore.
Something. He's going to have to get all the Horcruxes together and figure this thing out. I think they're in worse shape right now at an offensive line than they were at this time last year.
At this time last year, yes, 100%. I don't even think the only improvement I think we've done. Well, Aaron Brewer, he's injured right now, but Patrick Paul, he was so surprising to me. He was somebody I had a drink after we drafted him because I just didn't understand.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So I loved seeing him this preseason game because he makes me feel better about it. But I don't think we've improved at all other than that. I don't get it.
My biggest thing is, Cam, if you're seeing it, we're all seeing it. Everybody can see it. What conversation is happening in the coach's room, like where it's just like stagnant, and it's
I think so. Here's the thing, and I've talked to some of their coaches about this before. They're of the belief, and it's similar to San Fran in this, that we don't need every offensive line position to be an A+ knockout. Like, we can hide, quote unquote, a guy or two based on the scheme. They play a lot of wide zone. If you're athletic enough, you usually can get away with not having a Pro Bowler or above average starter at every position. And their thought is, hey, through our speed, through our athleticism, through the misdirection we have, defenses are going to have so much to worry about. They're going to have to worry about their deficiencies more than they worry about ours. Sounds great in theory. Right. I am not a big buyer of that when you have 3 positions that at minimum are going to be huge question marks. If it was just the right guard spot, or if it was just the left guard spot, or just the center, I might say, okay, this one guy probably shouldn't be a starter, but you can manage. I'm not sure I feel great about any of the 3 starting spots in the interior offensive line. And week 1, they have Eric Armstead coming through, and Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen and that Jaguars defense. And then 4 days later, you got Ed Oliver and Greg Rousseau and Von Miller. And, they're not going to feel sorry for the Dolphins offensive line and let them get it together. And so we're going to find out very soon whether they should be comfortable. I will say this in their defense. It is hard to find offensive linemen. Like, every team, I've traveled through training camp for NFL Network, and almost every team I go to is like, we got an offensive line issue. It might not be 3 guys like the Dolphins. It might be 1 guy. It might be 2 guys. But every team has questions about their offensive line. So it's not like, hey, just go sign this guy. If he's on the street, there's probably a reason he's on the street, whether it's
Right.
injury history, fit, something you don't know as a fan. There's probably a reason. Oh, well, let's go trade for this guy. Well, there's probably a reason that team is not trading them. They want the depth. They need that guy. And so there's not an easy fix. I can't say, okay, well, go do this, and the O-line issues are fixed. I don't know the solution. I just know that it's a problem.
Yeah.
Can I offer a solution?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. My solution would have been, now that we know, I know we didn't know this back in April, but now that Jalen Phillips is off pup, you also have Bradley Chubb, who you traded picks for, signed, to a big deal. You double dipped at edge rusher, right?
Yeah.
Even though you had studs. Now he's
Yeah.
back a little early, and what are we seeing? What are we seeing happening in Tampa? So yeah, nobody's giving up. Like there aren't dudes on the street. But where do you get them? You get them in the draft.
Yeah.
So we saw them double dip at edge and another position that I talked about with you guys and I forget. But like everyone knew, well,
They got two receivers.
Yeah. Okay. Edge and receiver. Exactly. Yeah. Taj and Malik, the Washingtons. But everyone knew this was a pretty allegedly, or, it remains to be seen, but deep O-line draft. Yeah. We got Patrick Paul, and that looks like a good pick. Don't get me wrong. But, Graham Barton, Dominic Cooney, looking like absolute freaking studs. And is Chris Greer, blind spot O-line, at least after, let's call it the first round, doesn't, and I'll give the exception of, who was it? Well, we had Rob Hunt.
Rob Hunt was good.
But yeah, very good. But that's literally the one not first round draft pick. And also AJ took 4 years to pay off. That's fine. But there were a lot of interior guys that people were high on. Do you think that might have been sort of a miss in retrospect where?
Yeah, I think Chris Greer, I think there's a sort of a, what do you call it? A video from his press conference that's become a
we know
on Twitter about hey, you guys are worried about it more than we are. And that was from last year, but I think that probably is still a little bit of their philosophy. I will say on the draft, and this is kind of something I've learned through the years, a lot of times we as media and fans, we like to put in and plug in need because it's the easy, obvious thing. Hey, if you go get a left guard here, you're good and it solves your biggest issue. If you look at NFL draft boards, and I've been in rooms at times, you often have a choice to decide. Let's say if Chop Robinson had a 9, let's just put it in the number grade. They usually use colors. If Chop was a 9 on their board, the best available offensive lineman was an 8. Do you take the 9 that's at not a position in need, or do you take a worse player at a position in need? A lot of times teams who take the player at a position in need that's a worse player end up reaching, and they end up screwing themselves in the long haul. So teams try their best to stick to their board. Now, if it's even, clearly it wasn't. But I thought if they had an interior offensive lineman as a 9 and Chop Robinson at a 9, they probably would have went the interior offensive lineman. Clearly in their evaluation, they didn't have a player like that graded similarly. And so you could ask, should the need have forced them to reach? Maybe. But I think they're just betting on their scouting department. They'll get it right, and they'll sort of fill the holes otherwise. So for better or for worse, we're going to have to figure it out. I also think, and this is one thing, not to get into Tua too early, because I know we're going to talk about him, but one thing that people always talk to me about, hey, Tua, and okay, what is he worth? What is he going to do? One big skill set that Tua has that people don't realize not enough is that he mitigates a lot of issues on the offensive line.
Yeah.
His quick passing, he led the NFL in time to throw, which essentially is a stat of how you catch the ball to when you deliver it. It's a remarkable at how many sacks he saved just by being able to make quick decisions, processing, anticipating down the field. And so if you know that's your quarterback skill set, they clearly have made an intentional decision that we're going to prioritize speed in our playmakers over protection in the offensive line. That's a philosophical decision. They could have certainly said we're going to use some of the resources we had for getting a Jalen Wright, or going to make sure we paid Tyreek and Jalen Waddle again. We're going to reallocate that and making sure we're good in the line. But I think Mike McDaniel in this philosophy is, hey, we're going to be maybe a little leaky on the O-line, but we're going to have so much speed, and we've got a quarterback that can get it to them, that we'll just deal with that when it comes. And we're going to see, like right
we're
now,
see how it plays out.
It's worked as far as the high octane offense. It hasn't worked as far as the January production. And so we're going to see how that
works. And that was like a question is, how do we keep our guys healthy? Because we can do it as long as they're healthy. We have the speed out there, but when that speed isn't out there, we get exposed very, very quickly. So how do we stay healthy so that we can win in December and in January?
Yeah, I think it's, for lack of a better word, the NBA's figured it out. It's load management. You got to figure out how to be able to carry these guys throughout the season. Like, I think a part of the reason why you get a Jalen Wright is so you don't feel like we've got to have Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane get 20 carries each in a September game. It may be split a little bit more spread, so where we can get all three of those guys to January, or worst case scenario, if we lose one of them, it doesn't wreck our season. Same for Tyreek and Waddle. Like, they've been so much the offense. You go get an Odell Beckham. Hopefully he gets healthy eventually, with the idea of he takes some burden off of them. You go draft a couple receivers in the late rounds that may not be a position of need, but you're like, hey, if we don't put everything on these guys, maybe they won't be burned out in January. So I get the philosophy there. But when you do that, you got to pick and choose. Like, they came into the offseason probably with 7 or 8 needs. You can't fill them all, and so clearly they prioritize others over other ones, right? Like we talked about Chop Robinson being such a position of need, and then all of a sudden you think about the guys who are injured coming back. Bradley Chubb is probably still going to take some time. Shaq Barrett ends up retiring right before the season. So now Chop Robinson becomes a necessity, instead of a need. So sometimes the season changes a lot. I think that this team just has to figure out how to manage their talent until you get into those winter months, without sacrificing wins, because this is a team, as we saw last year, that needs to have home playoff games. And so it's a weird balance, one that I'm glad I'm not the coach or the GM trying to figure
out. It's funny you say that, because you literally sound exactly like, I don't know if it was on McAfee or something, but you actually sound exactly like McDaniel, who was like, maybe don't score 70 points in September or October.
Yeah.
You
don't burn the bullets.
Right. Maybe a win in September means helmets aren't cracking in negative 30-degree playoff game. That everything's important, but literally they were like similar points that you hit on. Yeah, maybe don't count on Isaiah when that part's just driving me nuts. You said the
listen, as long as he comes back like by Thanksgiving, great. I'm happy. But
and if he came back and then was fresh, that would be great. It scares me that
Cam, you're looking like you're like,
no, it scares me that he won't even. But why was he available? To your point, Cam, why was he available? Like New England, he played one full season. That's it, And I just, now looking at it, he won't even confirm if it's the same quad, the same leg, or a different leg. And now with him not even looking like he's coming off up and compounding injuries, did they know about this in April during the draft? That's what makes me angry.
Yeah, I think things have happened.
I'm going to stop now.
Have changed their perspective there. Okay. I would just say this: I wouldn't count on him being a huge part of this team. I would use that as a luxury rather than a plan. That's just kind of how I would leave it.
And my heart is broken.
Head just went like this.
Oh God, he was like,
no,
I was holding on because of him, and Just cut that part out, but oh my God.
I don't want our whole conversation to be, somber.
I know, sorry. I know. No.
I have no choice but to tell you what I see and what I know. So
yeah, we appreciate it. All right, back to happiness.
Yeah.
Who are you? I don't even know how to jump into this because I'm still like, Who are you giving the defensive game ball to?
Yeah, I'm gonna let's go Saran Neal.
Yeah.
I like Saran a lot. I thought that he made a really big splash starting the game. He was actually on special teams. He had a big stuff, I think, around the 20-yard line on special teams. And then he came out flying around the ball on defense. He's had a great camp. Like, I think people coming in, when I talked to people about Saran Neal, they were like, he's a special teams ace. Didn't really say much about his ability on defense. He didn't play much defense in Buffalo. He's going to get an opportunity here. Like there's not a lot of people who have a solid spot beyond the starters in that defensive back room. Like there's a whole lot of competition. You're going to have Jordan Poyer. You're going to have Judon Allen at safety. But then beyond them, it's a question mark. Like maybe Marcus May, but I don't even know. He may not be a guarantee to make the team. He may or may not. And then at the cornerback room, you've got your Jalen Ramseys, you've got your Kendall Fullers, and then it's a bunch of younger guys kind of competing for roles, and Kader Kohu and Ethan Bonner and Cam Smith, and all of these guys have promise. None of them, I think you should feel like, hey, anybody's locked in. And so why can't Saran Neal come in and solidify himself a key role in a dime package or something like that, as well as playing special teams? So I thought he had a really nice day. Him as well, and then another guy, Grayson Murphy, who unfortunately ended up ending his season in that game with an MCL injury. He's out for the year, but he had a really good splash too, and he had a really good chance to make the team from what I heard as well. So,
P.S. That man looked 49. That man did not look like a rookie.
Oh,
Grayson.
Murphy, yeah.
I want to see I need to see what the twin brother looks like, because he looked like he was a dad, like a full on dad of one of Mary's kids. Yeah. in school, I mean, in school.
Cam, how are you liking the new kickoff change now that you've seen it in action with the NFL teams?
Yeah,
what are your thoughts?
There was a game in Kansas City that I watched that it confused me completely, because like the ball bounced into the end zone and then it bounced back into the field of play. Then a guy tried to kneel in the end zone and bring the ball back, and they called it a safety. And so I'm like, I don't really understand the rules. But we actually had.
I think they do either.
Yeah.
No.
I was actually up at Dolphins practice today, and they actually had some officials up there, and we got a chance to talk to them for about 45 minutes. And they actually explained it a lot better for me and for a lot of us. And I think I have a better understanding now. Essentially, what we're trying to do is minimize the amount of running that the players are doing at one another. And so in that particular play I was discussing, the ball is not dead once it hits the end zone like it used to be. And it's only dead once you hit the ball in the end zone and take a kneel. So when the ball hit the end zone and bounced back into play, it was in play. So it was him taking the ball from outside the end zone and bringing it
into the end zone.
That caused him to get a safety. And so it just changes your mindset of like, it used to be if the ball hit the end zone, you didn't even have to touch it. You could just be like, okay, it's a touchback. Now it's a live ball in all circumstances. So it's just kind of shifting a little bit the mindset. I think you'll see more returns. I think you'll see special team coordinators be a little bit more creative in how they deploy things. And so I'm with it. I'm with maximizing interesting plays and eliminating plays. Yeah.
What did you think about our punter?
I think that he's fine. I mean, like, I don't have a lot of takes on.
You're lying.
I don't have a lot of takes on special teams players. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that is not my favorite part of the game. I think that it's a part of it, but Jake Bailey is fine. He's probably somewhere average punter. I don't know. Like, I don't have a huge take there. I know there's been a lot of social media crave for the guy that's outside of the Dolphins facility. I'm sure he's a nice guy. If he's outside of the Dolphins facility, I don't know that he's going to be a huge upgrade over the guy that's inside the Dolphins facility. But I think that Jake Bailey. The only thing that I think is a positive about Jake Bailey, is that he's a lefty, like as far as how his ball spin, and so it just gives defenses and special team coordinators more to worry about in the week. But I honestly have not ever really thought much about who the punter was on the football team. I was not something I've ever really,
Yeah.
been a long
Madden
time.
doesn't think about the kickers too much either. Apparently,
Yeah.
have you seen
His
I
avatars?
saw Jason Sanders. And
Crazy.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
It's
Jason
Jason
Sanders.
he said ate like 7 cheeseburgers, huh?
It's
Yeah.
freaking hilarious.
And even Poyer doesn't look like him at all.
Poyer looks insane too.
Yeah, they really.
Usually they do scans, so I don't know if those guys just missed the scan day or
Some of
what.
them are amazing. I said they either ran out of money or heart by the time they got to kicker and said nobody cares anyway. Just put like a nondescript white guy in
Hey,
here
he lost
everywhere.
in the playoffs for us. Oh, jeez. I actually the new kickoff terrifies me. I saw it and I was like, "There's no way I want to put Tyreek out there, Waddle out there, Raheem." Achane, I don't think Raheem would go out there anyway. Achane, I don't want to put any of them out there. That looks so intense. I feel like there's going to be some serious injuries with it.
So the goal is to minimize it, but you never know.
Yeah.
Like, it's unknown for everyone.
Experiment.
Like I was talking to some of the players about it, and they're like, "We don't know." Like it's literally a new play. Like it's created out of scratch. I played football, and like this was never the thing. Like the kickoff has been the kickoff for like 100 years, and so this year is the first year we're gonna change it, and so we don't know. And the other thing about it with the preseason is I doubt coaches are showing their hand of what they're gonna actually do in the regular season.
Yeah,
there's so much unknown.
Could be like linebackers get out there. Oops.
Right.
Yeah.
Some teams are talking about putting defensive players in the kicking spot because, like, if you don't have to kick it as far, all you need to do is get a guy who can kick it to like the 20, and if he can tackle, that gives you another body in there on the field to tackle. And so it's just you'll see teams do a lot of creative stuff, I imagine.
Oh, this is all very, very interesting. We shall see. I'm still not comfortable putting out any of our ones or twos out there, though.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
No, absolutely not.
I don't think you'll see Tyreek or Waddle.
Violent.
Yeah, I think Tyreek will probably be mad because didn't he say he wanted to be out there? He wanted to do a couple.
He probably
be everywhere.
Yeah, he wants to do everything.
He played defense.
I would limit the amount of times I take what Tyreek says seriously. That's sort of my philosophy.
Yeah. So week 1 versus Jacksonville Jaguars, win or loss?
Loss. I
Mary. Sound effect.
I would say I think this team will. I think I'm a little worried about this team starting off slow. I am a little worried about this team starting off slow.
Did you see Judon Holland, his little script for the Dolphins that he did? And he said, even in his little script where his interview was, that he thinks it's going to be rocky in the beginning and then they'll take off at the end.
Yeah, there's been so much focus on this team about like how do we play better in December.
Yeah.
Get it, but you got to get there. And so some of the injuries, some of the things I've seen in camp. And Jackson will be hungry, and so I think that this is a loss.
All right.
Okay, Cam. Okay, so Buffalo to.
All right. Well, then
you guys are not gonna like me. Loss.
I just want you to know we're at home.
So far, what you're saying is my class does not get 20 minutes. We're going 0-2, and there's no extra recess yet.
Yeah,
good. That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like.
Cam said, "F them kids."
They'll get recess eventually. It's just not.
Just not early.
Not now, Mary.
And not extra. Yeah.
All right, week 3. This is away in Seattle.
I'm actually gonna go with a win here.
Okay,
I think that
really.
I think they're switching things up. They start off on a slow start at home, and they take out Seattle on the West Coast trip.
Interesting.
There we go.
All right.
Back
revenge
home,
game.
They get revenge on the Tennessee Titans. A win.
Yeah.
Yep. This is our revenge game.
Yeah, that was a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely winning, and I live in Massachusetts. You know that their quarterbacks were sacked 14 times yesterday.
Yeah. They have a worse. Yeah, they're more people than we are.
This is a win for the Dolphins, and I think this is actually my guess. This will be Drake May's first start. I think Jacoby Brissett will start the first game, and I think you'll see Drake May.
You think week 5?
I think that would be a good point. I think he starts a home game in October, and so this one makes sense. I think the Patriots probably are 0-4 or 1-3 by that point. So the trigger.
All right, this is in Indianapolis.
They're coming off a bye week here, and so I will give them the win. But I think Indianapolis is going to be pretty scrappy. So
Yeah,
I think that's going to be a close nail biter win. I think that's a win.
Okay.
I think they beat the Arizona Cardinals at home. So, like I said, you got to bear with me.
Yeah. We had Mina Kimes on our show, and she said this is her sleeper team.
I like Arizona. Kyler's healthy. And they lost a little bit of pass rush when BJ Ojulari got hurt for the year. But they do have a lot of talent on that side of the ball. And they're probably going to be looked at as the worst team in that division. So it's going to be tough for them to make a wild card push, but it wouldn't surprise me if they're in the mix.
Cam, don't break our hearts. You can't.
Cam,
have
it's
them.
not.
We have to beat them. We have to beat them like sometime.
It's a loss.
The playoffs. Let's beat them in the playoffs. I'll take that if we lose them twice.
I'll take that.
Yeah. It's a loss. I think the Rams are going to.
We're already at 4 losses.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
That's a tough trip back-to-back Buffalo and then LA.
This is, yeah.
That is a win. I like Antonio Pierce, but that team is going to be bad this year. I don't know. Whoever is quarterback. O'Connell or who's the other guy?
Gardner Minshew is not that bad.
Whoever's the quarterback, they're going to be bad. That defense is going to be good. The rest of the team is going to be bad.
Yeah, we bet. Yeah,
okay. They beat the Patriots. Yes, another bad. Thanksgiving.
8 p.m. game in Lambeau. Yeah, that's going to be freezing at 8 p.m.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a loss. Jordan Love is playing peak ball at that point. They're at home. It might be some snow flurries. A little chilly.
You know what? Saron Neal and Jordan Poyer now. We have dudes who can play in the cold at least. I just want you to know that.
Javon Holland, he's from Canada. He's a snowman. Canadian.
He's from Canada or Canada, one of the two.
I was trying to say he's a Canadian.
One of them their teams.
Yeah, but I will attest as someone who lived in the Northeast. I lived in Philly and Jersey for 7 years. I lived in Denver for a couple of years. Once you get back to South Florida and you live here for a little bit, all that north, I lived in the north, goes away really quickly. Like I lived there, but I am still South Florida soft.
Your blood thins real quick.
It does. And so,
it's like I'm not built for down there. Like I think I'm dying every game, like dead. I'm done.
Right.
All right, we finally see the Jets.
Is this the first time they see them? Wow. So
yes.
They're going to be the last one this season. Okay, so this one's in Miami, and so I think they get them at home. They get the Jets at home. Aaron Rodgers.
We lose Week 18.
Really suck. We're gonna see. We're gonna see how we feel Week 18. But right now,
Cam is a hater.
What's the record at this point?
I think we have 5 losses.
5 losses. Now.
Yeah.
5 losses. So 8-5 here. 8-5. Okay. Yeah.
This team. This is a dangerous team.
So I will tell you this:
are we even making the playoffs? Or do you have us making the playoffs?
If the Chiefs or the Dolphins don't make the Super Bowl in the AFC, this is my pick to make the Super Bowl in the AFC.
Oh wait,
so what do you?
Did you really mean us?
I said if the Chiefs or the Dolphins don't make the Super Bowl.
I think he's putting us in there to be nice at this point.
Are you being a homer? Are you being a homer, or is that your honest opinion?
Well, I don't know if the Dolphins are going to win the Super Bowl. I would pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl because they've won the last 2. But I'm saying if either of those two, Houston wins this game. I think Houston wins this game at home. I think they're gonna win that division again.
So Cam, everyone keeps being like, CJ sophomore slump. There's tape out there.
Sophomore slump, yeah.
No, that whole roster. I agree. CJ could have a little, a little sophomore slump, but that roster is absolutely freaking loaded.
It is, and they have a lot of talent, and I do think they humbled early in the season, but I think it's just early in the season. Like, I think it may just be like, hey, they start 2-3
Yeah.
in the first 5 games and then get it together. I don't think
They're
I see a
just so
whole
good.
sophomore slump of a season for them.
All right. Now we got the Niners.
I mean, I'm
I think
pumped
they
for
beat
this
the San
game.
Francisco 49ers. I think that Kyle
Yeah.
Shanahan comes home and Mike McDaniel gets them, and that's their marquee win of the regular season there.
There we go.
Against,
Ooh, good momentum.
contender.
Good momentum, too.
Mike is not going to let Kyle Shanahan come into his house and steal a victory there.
There you go.
I think they get the 49ers. And I think they get
this
the
one's.
Cleveland Browns. I think they get the Cleveland Browns. It is going to be cold.
You do?
And I think they're going to start to crack some narratives here because they go 8-5, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of talk there. But they get San Fran, and they get a cold Cleveland Browns team, and I think they get back-to-back wins there. Cleveland.
How cold is it in Cleveland at December
horrible.
29th?
Are you kidding me? It's awful. It's like hell.
It's
you
not
don't
going to be
recommend I go to that game?
But it's going to be cold.
No.
Absolutely not.
No?
I don't think so, Mary. I mean, that's like if.
But that I do want to say the Browns defense is terrifying.
They were the best defense in football, and they're going to be elite again. I think that they might. That team is that's gonna be a bully physical game. That's gonna be a game that tests whether or not the Dolphins' bully mindset is real or just talk in August. But I do think that Browns team is going to be limited offensively, and I think the Dolphins will have just enough.
Do you think Deshaun is going to suck?
I think that he's going to be better than he has been in Cleveland. Does he become a top 10 quarterback again? No. I think that he probably is an average starting quarterback this year.
That's the spirit.
All right.
And I think they finished the season with a win over the New York Jets in New York. And so they do end up getting 3 wins to end the year. And so they make the playoffs. What is that, 11-6? And I think they win the division.
All right.
Now, what happens in the playoffs, I don't know. I can't predict the playoff win until I see it. But
I
think
we also don't even know who we're playing.
And
I feel like I'm going to throw up.
Yeah. I know. It's not that bad, though.
It was a journey, but I got you to 11-6.
Yeah.
The 0-2 start is
0-2 start, losing 2 games to the Bills. It's not pretty. It's not easy to stomach, but you get 11-6 in a division championship. And so
it's also so frustrating, like having the Bills if the Bills sweep us again, because as fans, we go to war on Twitter with Bills Mafia, and like how do we fight that? We can't. We just can't.
You can say we won a division. I don't know.
There you go.
You know, the Dolphins have beat the Bills in recent years. I don't know. It wasn't last year.
No, 2022 week 3. They should have won the second game last year.
The week 3 game, that was a Sun game. That
was dope. It was amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and then Bills haven't played us in the Sun since.
It was my second.
You're right. But they swept the Jets in my schedule and the Patriots, and so you have claims over them.
Yep.
Just not the Bills.
Yeah.
That's
fine. I don't care.
One win.
I don't love Cam's start to the season because the last time I took a week off work was for games. It was last fall sometime, and that's going to be my first week off. I bought my flight today, and thanks so much for.
Well, I hope I am
big
wrong.
Damper on my 1 week off that I get.
I hope I am wrong for your sake. And losing 2 home games off the boot would mean a lot of panic for us in the national media circuit about the Dolphins. I'm sure I would.
Oh my God, it's going to be. I'm not even going to be on Twitter.
Should they fire Mike McDaniel? Is Tua's contract a mistake? I already see the headline.
Yes. Yeah. Clean house. So, shut it all down.
I'm clearly inviting the chaos, but I just got a feeling all the talk and focus on December and
late
January.
Season. Yeah.
The other side of that is you start off slow.
And it'll make it that much kind of sweeter if it does go that way.
As long as we end strong, I don't care if we start slow. I'd rather it be that way than start off strong and end slow. Yeah, exactly.
Can't
all right,
we have strong.
Brittany, I'm coming. I'm going to leave wherever I am, Fort Lauderdale or whatever, and just drive straight to your house on Thursday
We're gonna
night.
Be there. We're going to be there.
Oh
week
my
one.
God, you can just bring me home. Yeah. And we can cry together.
Yeah. I'll be there week one. We can drive back and cry
Yes.
on the way home. It's actually my daughter's first game. Can you? I mean,
Oh wow,
that'd be so fun.
She's either gonna be like, I never want to come to another game ever again. This was not fun.
Or she's gonna love it.
She just doesn't. She won't care. Yeah,
she'll have a blast.
She's too innocent to like really, understand
she'll
it.
have so much fun.
All right, so we have some questions from we're on a Discord channel called OnlyFins. Little play on words there. I told them that we were recording with you, and they just started like bombarding with questions. So I picked some.
Yes.
First question: is the team embracing this bully mentality? Do the player interactions seem any different than in years past?
What, Jen?
Sorry, Cam must. I think Cam saw this before, and he didn't say anything.
I said it quietly.
You saw Judon?
Yeah.
What?
Oh wow! I just got the Adam Schefter.
Yeah.
I saw
what
him looking at his phone.
I was trying not to interrupt the podcast. I said it briefly.
No, I know, but I saw you looking at it.
No, you can interrupt. You're fine. What happened though? Somebody tell me what happened.
Yeah, Matthew Judon got traded to the Falcons for a 3rd round pick. That's the Patriots' top pass rusher. So
Jen, are you okay?
Yeah, he wanted a new contract, and so he's
Jen, why do you?
No, I love
Jen is also. She's our
clearly she's a Dolphins fan and a Matthew Judon fan. Like
correct. Correct.
Oh.
I have a second
Patriots team got a lot.
That's better. Good news for us.
Yeah, he was their best player. So that Patriots team that was already bad got worse. So
you know what?
Christian Gonzalez is probably their best player now. They're young.
No, honestly, I don't know. He's having a. Sorry, I'm going to correct myself. I apologize.
She's all emotional now.
Yeah. I am emotional. I'm a masshole. I have a really bad mouth. Yes, everybody knows that I love the Patriots too. It's my original OG team.
Wow.
But head to head, I root for the Dolphins ahead of the Patriots.
Gotcha.
And but I would argue my favorite player on the Patriots is Jabril Peppers.
Jabril Peppers is a very good player.
Yeah, and Christian Gonzalez is having a terrible camp. But
really?
Whatever. I don't care.
Them.
I'm just sad. Judon's such a great. He's just like a great player, fun guy. Like, congratulations, Atlanta. You're gonna love him.
It hasn't been finished yet. Do you have the details of it?
They're gonna send a 3rd round pick to New England. So it's just a straight one pick for a player deal, and they're not gonna give Judon a new contract yet. We shall see.
But you know what?
For a 3rd round pick seems pretty freaking good.
Yeah. He's on the last year of the deal, and they're gonna have to pay him. So that's probably why he's making $6 or $7 million now. He wants
6.5, 6.5 this year. I honestly thought they were gonna save it for the deadline and try to, you know what I mean? But we should rejoice. We should rejoice for Tua.
What happens if he got injured though? Then you know what I mean? What happens if he got injured before the deadline?
And he did last year. So. He did last year. But this is good for us because our O-line sucks. And now we don't have to deal with Matthew Judon.
Yeah. Happy thoughts.
That is absolutely a happy thought. Because that man I love him, great player, good for him. I hope he loves it.
Cam, do you think that we're going to be getting anybody, like doing any trades for an interior?
But I haven't heard anything imminent. I wouldn't be counting on anything right now. Like a lot of times right before roster cut down day, which is like 2 weeks from now, you'll trade like with another team of like, hey, we're heavy on this position. You're heavy on this position. Let's swap a player for a pick. But I don't think they're bubbling on anything huge. It'd be nice to get an offensive lineman, but Chris Greer says we're worried about it more than him. So
yeah, we know. And him and McDaniel together with his little shanty philosophy, they're like a duo made in.
Yeah, it's both of them. Like
nightmare. Yeah. It's a freaking nightmare. They just reinforce the other's ideas. I'm an
All right, back
angry
to the
elf.
question. Is a
Yes.
team embracing this bully mentality?
They are. I think that they were a little embarrassed on the narrative that came out. And I think one of the other questions there, and I can kind of answer them both at once, is that like I talked to teams throughout the league about the Dolphins, and the narrative about this team is that they're soft, is that they are a video game team. They score a lot of points, and when the weather turns cold, they shrivel up. That is what teams think of them. And you can either get mad at that
Horrible.
Right.
or you can try to change the narrative. And I think they have decided we have to change the narrative that we are just this speed team, only. And so,
How do you change that narrative, though? What do
Cam,
they do?
you gotta start punching people in their mouth too.
Yeah, Cam, did you change your car? Did you change your car from when you lived in Jersey to when you came back to South Florida? Like, did you have a different vehicle? Yeah,
I did. I had like a more of a winter vehicle.
Yeah.
Now I have a
heavier, tougher.
I'm a Dodge Challenger now.
Oh, that's very slidey and scary, actually.
I was wondering where Jen was going with that.
I like to put my top that it's Florida.
Yeah.
Florida,
Well,
my thing.
You don't bring a sports car up to Buffalo,
right? But the problem with
December.
this team is that it's built to be what McDaniel is built to be. Like they're like, and I don't anticipate them all of a sudden becoming this physical smash mouth. We're gonna punch you. That you can't fake that. Now, what they can do is when people punch us, we punch back. They might never be the bullies, but you can't take the bullying. You can't just say, hey, okay, we're going to be the guys until you catch us. Once you catch us, it's over. No, sometimes you got to fight a little bit. And I think you'll see more fight out of them. Whether that's enough, we're going to see. But I do think they're getting annoyed by the narrative that they're one, soft, and two, that once it turns cold, they got to go inside because mom said it's time, you can't play out.
Oh, the street lights! The street lights came on.
The street lights came on. The whistle blew.
I've heard all
they gotta
kind of
go.
Cheers, and that's one defensive coordinator said they're like a kid who gets told the street lights come on when it turns winter.
They did say that. That's hilarious. All right, that's funny. Yeah, but I will say that I do think that narrative is overrated. I think it's more that they suck at the end of the year because they only had one cold game last year. That was KC. That was in, and I'm as a Northeasterner, that was in humane conditions, not just cold conditions.
Yeah.
So I can tell you,
even the Chiefs played horribly.
They didn't have a game below 50 degrees otherwise last year. Other than that, and the last game that they actually did have that was cold was the both games in Buffalo, the playoff game and Tua playing the second game in 2022, and they played really well. They lost by 3 points, so I think that's convenient, and I just think it might be conflating two things. But also, I think they also might suck in the cold.
Again, I think some of that narratives kind of take their life of their own. Like for a while, it was they can't beat any winning teams. Now it's they can't perform well in the cold or against playoff teams. Regardless of what you view of what they can and can't do, they have to change that. Like it's up to them. Like you can't blame the media. My favorite thing is when the media says this. No, the media doesn't say this. Like this is what people think. Like this is what teams think about y'all. We're just telling you guys the facts. Like I think I had talked on NFL Network about this. Mike McDaniel's record in December and January is awful in his tenure. He's great in September and November, but those are the facts. Now they can change that. There's a lot of circumstances. They've had injuries. There's a lot of context to be going on. But the only way you change that narrative is to change it. And I think Mike McDaniel said that. He's done different things throughout the offseason, like changing the meeting time to 8:24 or 10:24 to signify 24 years since you won a playoff game. Like I think all of these things, it's great to attack it on face and to embrace it, but we're not gonna know until December or January playoff time comes around. Like they can say all they want. They can say all they want about being bullies, but if it comes again in December and January and they collapse again, the narratives are only going to get louder.
It's going to get louder, so much louder. Do you think that some of the play calling on Coach Mike McDaniel, though, was also he kind of gave up on the run game when we shouldn't have. He was, on third downs, it was bad. Red zone bad, which was good in the first half of the season. Second half of the season, not so good.
Yeah, I think it's easy to, at least from my eyes, to always blame the play caller. I don't have a huge issue with Mike McDaniel as a play caller. I mean, there's certainly situational things he probably can be better at. But it's his second year as a head coach, as a play caller. I thought that he led the number one offense. And so, to me, Mike McDaniel's play calling is probably lower on the scale of issues to me for the Dolphins.
Right. Yeah.
And just as other things have gotten better each year, I expect that to get better also. And he even said the same thing. Something I screwed up a little bit. One thing I know is I'm not getting worse at my job.
Absolutely. And I would say the first year, there was a lot of rightful complaints about his refusal to run the ball because they were fifth or sixth in total attempts. Last year, they were a top 5 rushing team. You could always want to run the ball more. You could say in certain situations you could run, but they ran the ball a lot. Even with Tyreek Hill flirting with 2,000 yards. And so I don't have a huge issue there.
Now run the ball between the tackles. Thanks.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
Can we though?
We can. God, maybe not.
All right. Last 2 questions. What is the Dolphins' most underrated position group?
Most underrated position group. So everybody knows about wide receiver. People are going to talk about offense all the time. I think that underrated.
Edge rushers.
Is there an underrated position? I don't know if there is an underrated
The
position.
O-line.
On this.
Mary.
I'm kidding.
I honestly don't know if there's an underrated position on this team.
Nothing can be underrated when Dolphins Twitter is so freaking loud.
Yeah, I feel like everything is either properly rated or probably slightly under. I mean, I think that Jordan Poyer, when healthy, is going to be a really good find for this safety group. And I think that, if Marcus Mays ends up being that player, maybe Saran Neal in that position, that group can be a good spot. You don't have to worry about. Everybody knows about Javon Holland, but I think the other guys in that room can fill in well. So maybe that would be my pick.
All right. You think Marcus Mays going to make the team?
We'll see. I think he's one of those vested vets. He's on a minimum deal, so it doesn't cost a ton to keep him. But again, I haven't seen a lot of Marcus May to be he's going to for sure be on the team. But they do need the third. Neither have we. So we'll see.
It's a little inside joke. It's interesting.
Yeah. God, we don't. Yeah.
All right.
We'll tell you about it when we end this recording.
Okay, so how do you see the back end of the running back and wide receiver groups shaping up on the roster?
Yeah, running back's going to be interesting because you're going to definitely have Mostert, Achane, and Jalen Wright on this roster. And Alec can go, obviously, whether you keep him in the running backs or tight ends, he's going to be on the roster too. So there's probably room for maybe one. They could just keep those 3, or they can keep a 4th. And so you have to say, okay, you got Jeff Wilson, who is
what are we going to do with him?
Chris Brooks.
Wow, you got, Chris Brooks. Yeah. You got Ahmed. There's a lot of guys who have played real snaps on this team. I think that only one of those guys is going to make the team, if any. And special teams is going to have to play a big role there. And so I think Jeff Wilson probably ends up being one of those guys who you try to shop around the teams and the camp and say, hey, give us a 6th round pick, give us a 7th round pick, give us a backup offensive lineman, somebody, because we're going to cut him anyway.
He had the trash game.
I like Jeff too. He's good.
Yeah, I like Jeff too.
Well.
But
I remember when
So here's the issue, though. Jeff doesn't play special teams.
He's so nice.
And none of the other guys play special teams. It's tough to have a running back room where you got 4 running backs who don't play special teams. And somebody's going to have to be inactive. And so maybe you go heavy at running back and just say we're going to keep one of them as a healthy scratch every week. Maybe Jeff Wilson or, maybe Jalen Wright early in the season is a healthy scratch. But you can't keep them all. And so that spot is going to be tough. I definitely think you're getting at least 2 of those guys released. And so if it's not Jeff, maybe you keep Jeff. Maybe that means Chris Brooks and Salvin Ahmed are both released.
Well,
and so
I don't want Chris Brooks released.
Yeah.
Ahmed,
Yeah.
he can.
Ahmed,
I'm okay with
he
Ahmed
can
leaving,
go.
but Chris
Yeah,
Brooks,
Ahmed gotta go.
potential.
Yeah.
Bye. And
I
thank you for your
two of
service. But
I think two of those three are gone. So
yeah,
at least.
Well, that
And
that kind of leads us into the last question, though. Like, do you think there's going to be any surprise roster cuts or surprise players you think will make the roster?
there's always usually an undrafted rookie that's in contention there. Trying to think. This year, I thought Grayson Murphy would have been a great candidate, but he got hurt. I think that edge room is going to be an interesting room. You're going to see Quinn Bell make that roster. He's played a really good.
that's
camp.
yes.
Defensive tackle is going to be interesting because they just released Tier Tart. I'm still wanting to see if they're going to bring another guy into that room. They brought in Roy Campbell today. I don't know if he makes the roster, but I think they could use another guy or two there. Trying to think what surprise cuts, what would surprise people. I don't know if there would be a ton that surprised people. Eric Ezukama. I could see this being his last season. I can see him not making the roster. I just see he's been hurt a lot. He hasn't contributed a ton. He's got size. They drafted him in the 4th round a couple of years ago. I could certainly see him being a guy that's on the outward.
What about you? Think Jody Fortson's making the roster? I think he's going to be cut.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because Tanner Connor has had a nice camp.
Right.
You're going to have for sure Durham Smythe on this roster. You're definitely going to have Jonnu Smith. How many tight ends do you keep with a fullback? I don't think you keep more than 3. And so if it's Jonnu,
I don't think Jody's
Durham,
doing it.
then I think Tanner right now is ahead of Jody. And then you also have Julian Hill who's played well. And so I don't imagine that Jody's going to be able to do enough to keep that spot.
Don't forget about Hayden Rucci. Shout out to my guy. Hopefully you are safely escond them to the practice squad and stay here for next year.
Absolutely.
Jen's been cheering for him
forever.
All right, so we're gonna do some Dolphins Olympics. Go ahead, Mary.
What?
Go ahead.
I was about to say, have you seen the internet sensation that is the Australian breakdancer that totally won people over with her passion, her heart, not her skill?
For sure.
So one of our segments that we do is Dolphins Olympics. Yeah. No, go.
Well, I was just going to say, have you seen her as the windshield wiper yet?
I just saw that recently.
Oh my god!
I've seen enough.
We've seen enough.
1,000,000 trillion times. I
think they're like getting rid of it in 2028. They're like, we're
it's
done
over.
with this event.
It's done. They already did. They canceled it.
So with the Olympics wrapping up, and you're our last guest right after the closing ceremony, we'd like to do this summer. We've done Dolphins Olympics, where we give you an event, and you pick the player on the Dolphins' current team, current roster that would get us a gold medal for that event. So which player now, or our event is breakdancing, which Dolphins player are you selecting to win the gold for breakdancing?
This will break the tie with China. This will literally break the tie with China.
I am going to have to elect, slightly reluctantly, but I think my best choice, the cheetah. I am going to take Tyreek Hill as breakdancing.
All right, you ready? Yeah. Hey. Shh, dude, no. You gotta go like, hey. Oh, okay. Wait. My words float on the sound.
I've actually seen Tyreek dance, and he's actually a pretty good dancer. I don't know where he ranks on the team.
I could totally see it.
He's athletic. I'm sure he would do some
strong. Can you imagine?
Yeah, he's flipping in.
Yeah, and he's an entertainer. And so I think that's
a good point. That's a good point.
You have to entertain. Like, it's not just do the moves. It's sell the crowd, hype up everything. I think Tyreek would be perfect for this. And given his affection with taking on Olympic athletes, as he, told people. I think he would love the challenge and come back and bring us back gold. And
Cam, that's a great pick. That is a great pick. And he deserved to be. He deserved probably to make the Olympic team.
I don't want to say it because then he's going to hear it and it's going to add to the nostalgia and he doesn't need to hear any more hype. He has enough.
No. No. Well,
I think this was his first time making our team, wasn't it?
it is.
I think
No,
this
it
was
is the first time.
Yeah.
So
We
I
had a
think
lot
it's
of
kind of
we had a
fair.
lot of Waddle and a lot of Ramsey make it. And
Oh,
yeah,
so
those were the
good.
two that we always had multiples of. Yeah.
You know what was so great? It was Travis. So when we did the first week that we did this, we did 10-meter synchronized
Platform
platform diving.
Yes.
And
Travis
we
Pitt.
were looking for it to be funny. And yeah, go ahead.
He gave a full thought out. He picked Ingold and he picked Raheem because Ingold is Raheem's eyes and they're synchronized. And yeah. We're like, all right, yes, this makes total sense.
The whole strategy and everything.
He did.
Leave
He
it-
came
leave
with
it to
he came
Travis.
he prepared.
He's gonna bring the breakdowns.
Yeah.
He was so right.
Exactly.
He was so freaking right too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll
All
have
right.
to have a feature of our gold winning team on the next.
Dad jokes. Mary's running super late now. We'll make
It's
it
all
quick.
right. The PTA moms can wait.
PTA moms.
A duck walks into a bar
Mhm.
and tells the bartender, "I'll buy a round for everyone." What does the bartender say? "I'll put it on your bill."
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you guys call a fake noodle? An impasta.
What do you get when an angry sheep crosses an angry cow?
Bak moo.
Two animals that are in a bad mood.
That's actually good.
To whoever stole my copy of Microsoft Office, I will find you. You have my word.
That's good.
Alrighty, sideliners, thank you so much for joining us. We had so much fun with Cam. Cam, do you have any closing thoughts for any of the Dolphins fans watching?
This was awesome. You ladies are awesome. I'm glad that you guys are creating content in different ways. And Dolphins fan base, you guys are awesome. So I will be in and out throughout the year. Hopefully there will be a lot of wins so I get to stay home in Miami and not other cold places. But definitely keep tuning in to NFL Network, and we'll continue to talk Dolphins as long as I'm there.
Alrighty, bye guys. See you next time.
Bye.